Zara braced her shoulder against the jammed service elevator door, forcing it open just enough to slide her body through. The city air on the rooftop was suffocating, a humid in the middle of a brutal August heat wave. She pushed the last cardboard box 1 more meter. Just one. Behind her, 2 small voices had gone silent, not because they'd given up, but because they'd learned that crying only made the heavy air feel thicker. She'd been on the run for 3 days since her exploitative cleaning boss, Mr. Delgado, had reported her to the building manager. 3 days since her mother's sudden passing and the realization that the apartment they shared was being seized. 3 days since she realized no official help was coming. Then she saw the greenhouse. The plastic sheet covering the broken frame of the rooftop greenhouse was yanked aside before Zara could knock. A man stood there, lean and covered in dried aerosol paint, with a face that looked tired from long nights and long chases. His eyes, the color of wet asphalt, darted from her face to Rami, then to Noor, who clung to her faded jeans. He didn't speak, just stepped aside. "We ain't squatting," Zara said, though the exhaustion made her voice crack on the lie. "Just need to get out of the sun for an hour, then we'll be gone. I just need a moment." "Ain't nobody moving anywhere in this heat." He gestured to the shimmering, oppressive city skyline. "Get inside before you cook standing there." She hesitated. People who offered help in this city always wanted something back. "Look," he said quieter now, "I got a working fan and a bottle of cold water. That's all I'm offering." Zara looked down at Rami, her oldest, who was 10, but carried the worry of a 70-year-old in his tense shoulders. The boy slowly pushed the last box inside. That was enough. They stumbled in. The greenhouse was mostly skeletal, filled with dusty planting beds, but it had a small shaded corner where a tiny generator powered a noisy box fan. But it was private. God, it was private. Zara's knees nearly buckled. "Sit." The man pulled over a paint bucket. "Kids too." She lied again. He didn't argue. He just produced a few stale bread rolls wrapped in paper and handed them the water bottle. The children stared at the offerings like they might vanish. "It ain't poisoned, and I ain't asking for thanks. Just eat." Rami was the first to reach. They ate fast, too fast, and Zara's throat tightened watching them. "You got names?" "Zara Khan." She swallowed. "These are my siblings, Rami and Noor." "Khan," he repeated slow. "You're the young woman working the third-floor laundry room." Her spine stiffened. "I am. I heard other things, too." "I'm sure you did. I heard your mother passed. I heard Mr. Valdez wants your space for more rent money. I heard folks blame you for being broke. I'm also saying none of that's got a damn thing to do with me." The man almost smiled. "Name's Leo Navarro. I work the night shift. This place is my quiet zone. So while you're here, you're safe." That night, Zara lay awake near the buzzing generator while the children slept curled up under her thin cotton scarf. Leo sat in the corner, cleaning paint nozzles by the glow of his phone flashlight. His hands moved with a slow, deliberate care of someone used to working under pressure and alone. "Why did you open the plastic?" He stopped cleaning. "Because I've been sleeping on this rooftop since I was 18. My mother died in a shelter when I was a kid. I got no family, no papers, and for 10 years, nobody knocked, nobody checked, nobody gave a damn." He looked at me then. "So when I heard you up here, I figured maybe this rotten city was giving me a chance to be better than the bastards who left me alone." 2 weeks later, the building manager found them. Zara was tending to a small, secret row of herbs she'd planted in a forgotten planter box when she saw the maintenance team elevator open. Mr. Valdez, the slick, middle-aged manager, stepped out, flanked by a security guard. "Leo," she called, her voice sharp with panic. He came out of his secluded corner, a pipe wrench hidden behind his back. Valdez approached slow, his eyes cold. "Navarro, we need to talk." "Then talk," Leo said. Valdez gestured to Zara. "You know what she is.
An undocumented burden, hiding on my property, polluting this building's reputation. The city will place the children in proper foster care. We ain't polluting nothing, Leo said, his voice deadly calm. She sleeps by the generator, I sleep in the stairwell, the kids sleep here. If you got a problem with my charity, it's your soul that's corrupt, Valdez, not hers. My mother broke her back cleaning the city for less than minimum wage. I worked every day to keep us together while you took your slice of the rent and did nothing. And now you dare talk to me about reputation. Zara cut in, her voice shaking with righteous fury. Valdez sneered. Get this trash off my roof, Navarro, or I'll call the city inspector. We're taking the children. Leo held the wrench steady. This roof is city property, not yours, and I'm telling you to leave. The security guard reached for his radio. Leo raised the wrench. Don't. The guard froze. Valdez mounted the service elevator, fury twisting his face. This ain't over, Navarro. The whole building will hear about this. You did exactly what you should have done, Leo whispered, steadying her. You stood your ground. That took more courage than anything. That night, Zara sat beside Leo on the ledge, watching the headlights move far below. They'll ruin you, she said. They already did that when I was a kid, and nobody cared. At least this way, I got something worth being ruined for. If you stay, I'll fight for you. We take care of the kids together, and we take care of each other. No debt, no shame, just survival. 1 month. If we can sell enough herbs and you can fix a few broken fans for cash, we stay 1 month. If it doesn't work, we leave. Leo nodded. Deal. They shook hands, a covenant sealed on the dusty rooftop of a cold, indifferent city. For the first week, the tension was thick. Zara cooked simple, cheap meals on a small electric burner they plugged into the generator, always worried about the smell. Leo was a restless presence, often gone for hours in the night, only to return smelling of aerosol paint and city grime. "You're not painting that graffiti on the overpass, are you?" Zara asked one evening, watching him organize his nozzles. "That pays the bills," Leo shrugged. "And it's not graffiti, it's art. The gallery owners pay cash to keep the streets interesting, but it's risky." "We need something less risky," Zara said, looking down at the small planter box where the herbs were beginning to thrive. "Nor needs real food, not just dried rice." The next day, Leo brought home a rusted, discarded cart from a nearby market. "We're going to fix the garden," he declared. The plan was simple. The greenhouse, though derelict, had access to a slow drip from an old AC unit, providing minimal water. Zara would use the rich, untended soil in the abandoned beds to rapidly cultivate microgreens like arugula and basil and medicinal herbs, which could be harvested daily and stored in a cool corner. Leo, using his knowledge of the city's hidden networks, would sell the produce early each morning to high-end, cash-only restaurants near the financial district, returning before Mr. Valdez woke up. Rami, her 10-year-old brother, became their silent lookout. He would sit by the maintenance door, his eyes scanning the city for any movement, a whistle hidden in his hand. The fourth day of the greenhouse supply operation brought a surprising change. An elderly woman, Mrs. Al-Sadiq, a retired nurse who had lived in the building for 40 years, found them. She had come to the roof to prune her own small, permitted flower pots near the ledge. She saw the children, the thriving herbs, and the generator. She didn't call Valdez. "That basil smells beautiful, child," Mrs. Al-Sadiq said, her voice soft but firm. "Ashamed to sell it all to the rich folk downtown. It belongs here." Mrs. Al-Sadiq, knowing the building's dynamics, offered the first true help. She used her access to the building's ancient, unused plumbing network to divert a small, discreet pipe to the greenhouse. Now they had reliable water. Valdez is a worm, Mrs. Al-Sadiq whispered to Zara. He hates what he can't control, and he can't control community.
3 weeks into their arrangement, the money was working. They had enough to buy real groceries, a new pair of shoes for Noor, and even a small replacement part for Leo's generator. But Valdez, sensing their stability, intensified the pressure. He came back with a city code inspector. Inspector Davies, a man in a starched shirt, stepped onto the roof, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Navarro," Valdez called, his voice smug, "the city has received complaints about unauthorized modifications and smells." He gestured to the basil. "Mr. Valdez," Leo stepped forward, his face grim, "I'm operating an experimental urban agriculture project in this decommissioned space. All city code requires is access to a water source and no structural damage. We meet that." Inspector Davies looked dubious. "And the children? This is an industrial space, not a residence." Zara stepped out, holding Noor tightly. "They're not residents, sir. They are my assistants. They're here daily for the work. I am the sole proprietor, and I assure you they are supervised." Davies looked at Zara, then at the lush, orderly herb beds. He checked the discreet water line. Mrs. Al-Sadiq's work was invisible. He checked the generator. Leo had soundproofed it with insulation. "Mr. Thorne, Ms. Khan," Valdez interrupted, trying to regain control. "Where are you residing? Because if the children are involved with an undocumented tenant—" "I am not an undocumented tenant. I am a day laborer on this rooftop, contracted by Mr. Navarro. And if you wish to talk about my residence, you need a warrant for private property, which this rooftop is not. We are operating within the law." Davies looked frustrated. He didn't have enough to shut them down instantly, and the herb beds were aesthetically better than the derelict space had been. "I'll be back," he muttered, turning to Valdez. "For now, they are technically compliant with the Urban Farming Initiative." Valdez's face was pure fury. He had used the law, and it had failed him. "You win this round, Navarro, but I control the power in this building. The city code doesn't cover that." The next morning, the generator was dead. The fan was still, and the greenhouse was silent, already beginning to heat up. "He cut the power line from the main box," Leo said, his jaw tight as he inspected the hidden wire. "We have no electricity. The heat will kill the greens in a day." "Then we leave," Zara whispered, the terror returning. "The month is almost up. We don't have enough." "No," Leo said, looking at Rami, who was hugging Noor tightly, and then at Mrs. Al-Sadiq, who had climbed the stairs and was now standing by the entrance. "He wants us alone. We won't give him that." Leo spent the morning patching the power line, knowing Valdez would cut it again. Then he gathered every dollar they had earned. That evening, Leo didn't leave to paint. Instead, he and Zara walked down to the street and purchased a single, expensive-looking potted olive tree. The next morning, the last day of the agreed month, Valdez returned ready to evict them with the police. But they were not alone. The entire roof was filled with tenants. Mrs. Al-Sadiq, a few families, even the young art student from the 12th floor. They were all standing by the greenhouse, tending to the pots and the herbs. Zara was directing Rami and Noor as they prepared a fresh batch of basil. "What is the meaning of this, Al-Sadiq?" Valdez demanded. "It's a community project," Mrs. Al-Sadiq smiled sweetly, pointing to the olive tree. "An official rooftop garden registered with the City Greening Initiative. We installed a commemorative tree yesterday. We are all tending it now." Valdez looked at the crowd. He looked at Leo, who was holding the wrench openly, and at Zara, whose eyes held no fear. He looked at the police, who were hesitant to break up a community garden that clearly wasn't being used as a residence. "This is temporary," Valdez spat. "I will get you out." "You've had your month," Leo said, stepping forward. "You failed. The agreement was, if we can survive, we stay. We survived. Now we're not asking you for nothing. We're telling you we're staying." Valdez retreated. Zara looked at Leo. The month was done. "I need to go. I need to find a place that is permanent for the kids." "This is permanent," Leo said, his eyes raw with the same honesty she'd seen on the first night. "We'll build a partition. We'll get a real lease eventually, or we'll stay here and we'll protect this garden. This is our home, and I'll be damned if I let the city take it from us." Zara didn't speak. She just reached out and took his paint-stained hand. They stood there, surrounded by the fragile, thriving green life they had fostered, watching the sun rise over the skyline. They were still at risk, still hiding, but for the first time, they were a family, found in the unlikeliest of places.
Will Zara and Leo hold on to their stolen sanctuary? Will Valdez crush their fragile hope? Or will the community rise up to save the rooftop garden? Don't miss the next chapter of this fight for survival. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're the first to witness who wins the battle for the roof.